All Canadian families, we are on the Titanic. The iceberg hasn't hit yet, so we're not sinking. If we don't shift course, that iceberg is coming for us.
I'm not planning on leaving. I'm fighting. We want to make this country incredibly great.
We begin to see that it really isn't about diversity. It is about punishing the people who perform beyond the mean.
For people who don't care, where do you see Canada going?
Oh, it's catastrophic. It is that bad. What is the carbon tax doing to lower carbon emissions?
Exactly. I love this country. I was born in this country. I believe in what this country stands for. I believe in its people. I believe as a place opportunity for all to come and live, but the path that we're on is not working, and we are not going to be what we're supposed to be if we continue along this path.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to Citizen, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you guys are at. Thank you for all the support. Remember, like, comment, all the stuff that every podcaster tells you to do to make sure it helps you go forward. Jeremy, what's going on?
Help you goof forward. I was trying to do the angel voices underneath you, but it didn't work. Did you hear me doing it when you were talking?
You ruined too many intros.
I started doing it. I was like, but it was so low that I was like, it doesn't sound like angels.
So you're doing good. That's good to hear. Appreciate it.
Yes, to answer your question.
Let's move on to our...
I have a home now. We're moving in this week.
Yep.
Another move in, so life's good. A little bit chaotic in my life, but good at the same time.
Yeah, that's going to be busy.
I'm out of your basement now.
It's right.
Soon, not yet.
Do you have people to help you move yet?
I was going to ask you. No.
Busy this weekend. I'm golfing. Tucker, we're going to go golfing.
I'm too old to ask buddies. I have movers. But.
Yeah. Let's introduce our guest before we get to that subject, because I want to hit on that. It's just like a life lesson we should talk about. Kevin Tucker, known as Tucker your whole entire life. A new friend, recent friend.
Yeah, recent
fellow podcaster, semi-pro talker, as you're saying.
Albertan.
Found out you're a golf enthusiast.
Yeah,
Albertan.
Hacker, more of a hacker, I suppose.
We're all hackers.
But
you're not on the tour.
David's not a hacker.
You're good.
Has he told you he's a hacker because he's not a hacker?
I said I'm a hacker.
No, I know, but he said we're all hackers.
We're all hackers.
Don't let him lie to you. He's not a hacker.
As well, oil exec, lots of years.
Yeah.
Doing work in oil and gas. So, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me here. You guys are pretty pro. You run a tight ship over here.
You're too nice,
Trying to
man.
emulate my show after years.
If this was up to us, we'd still be in the back of Jeremy's truck.
That one episode, yeah.
That's what it would be like. Okay, I want to get to that life lesson. Just so everyone, this is important. At what age do you stop asking buddies to help you to move, and do you hire professional movers?
Does it depend on how many times you move? Or does it depend on age?
Moving, yeah. I feel like, I don't know, might have been 15 years ago we did a move one time.
Yeah.
And
so you're a good friend to have.
Had all the buddies come over, and we all pitched in.
And what did you feed them?
Like pizza, beer, the usual. And it was like a slog, and everybody wanted to kill each other at the end. And we said at the end of the day, never again. We are paying movers every time.
There you go.
We are not doing this anymore.
We sold our home a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've rented 3 or 4 years in a row after that. And so we've had to move in and out, in and out, in and out. And
he's not my only brother-in-law who's doing that same thing. There's another
our other brother-in-law did the same thing. Yeah.
So my moving days are behind me.
We've taxed everybody, and now I'm like, I don't even send those texts anymore. We're just buying movers. And so we did it last time, and after I did it, I was like, why have I never done this before? It was 6 guys walked in, laid out carpets everywhere. Amazing. Bam, 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 bam. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like,
amazing.
And I didn't have to buy pizza either.
Well worth the money.
Yep, it definitely is. Lots of stuff to get to today. I want to chat through, we'll get to wherever we get to, but just a couple of highlights. Mark Carney's announced as of yesterday his cabinet, which is essentially Justin Trudeau's cabinet. So we'll talk on that. Donald Trump traveling the world, reducing tariffs on China.
Yeah,
I haven't heard any news about Canada-U.S. relations regarding tariffs, but he's in Saudi. I was telling you this before. Did you hear the gift that Saudi Arabia or Prince Salman is giving him?
Plane.
$400 million jet that makes the Air Force One look like should be in the airplane graveyard.
Did you see the clip though when the ABC was criticizing it, saying that it was a gift to Trump? Did you see this?
Yeah.
You watch it?
Well, it is.
No,
gifting
no, he
him.
was the David
No,
was
I know,
talking
but
about it.
it's to the Department of Defense. Like it's actually to the Department of Defense. It's not to him personally. He's not receiving it. But the ABC knew that going into the question. They asked the question, and then he just lights this girl up, lights her up. And Dr. Oz, RFK, they're all standing back there. They're all giggling like schoolboys because of the way that Trump just lights her up. And as I watched it, I just started laughing at the end because I was like, why did these reporters try? Like, I don't even know why they try, because he
But
just
it's going into his
bulldozed.
presidential library at the end 2029. So do you know what that means?
I don't know what that
No,
means.
no.
That's why I thought it was personally. Yes, I thought it was a personal
He
gift.
denounced
that
it was right there on the spot and said, this is
Okay.
not personal at all. This is to the
it's
Department
going
of
to
Defense.
his
We don't
personal library,
own it."
though, in 2029. He's
What does
already
that even
prepping
mean?
for
Yeah,
it.
what is a personal library?
Well, each president takes certain things with them. With usually
Right.
libraries like have to do with books and all that.
right.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But no other president's
Yeah.
getting.
That's why I'm confused. I don't-
Yes, President
I was like-
Trump is personally
Yeah,
receiving a lavish welcome from his arrival in Saudi Arabia. And also the Prince Solomon actually personally greeted him when he landed there. That's like unheard of.
Crazy.
Sorry, it wasn't. It was Qatar reportedly is gifting him a $400 million Boeing 747-8 jet to potentially serve as Air Force Ones being retrofitted. And then it
Qatar.
will be transferred to his presidential library foundation. Okay, so not personally, but,
Okay.
but he'll
Always a
still
little
probably
hair
use
on it.
Yes, exactly.
It's a foundation, guys. Come on.
That's funny.
Okay,
Interesting. Yeah, it's crazy.
let's get your thoughts on a couple things off the hop. Just generally, post-election, 2 and a bit weeks in, Mark Carney, Canada, thoughts on the election and Prime Minister Mark Carney, where you at?
Yeah, the loaded question
Yep.
that we've been asking ourselves daily, I suppose, after this all happened. I feel like I am back to where I was after Trudeau got in.
Okay.
So for me and a lot of us, I'm speaking specifically more so from the energy sector side of things, which is where I toil and spend my life. When Trudeau got in, everybody was very nervous. Out here specifically,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of
I
what
remember
Pierre Trudeau did in the 80s with the National Energy Program. Yeah. So we were worried, but let it play out. Let him show his colors. And we know where that got us.
Yeah.
Very, very bad for the industry. So now that Mark Carney is in, this is his, we know what he is. At his core, he is a net zero guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He created the carbon tax. And, not saying that's all a scam, it's a sham. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole after the fact, but I mean, he is an economist, so he understands,
Yep.
economies
Yep.
and making money and how to control things, the governor of banks. But I'm very nervous, and I think rightfully so. A lot of us are. I'm nervous about it. I think first couple of weeks have been okay.
Yeah.
He's been
Yeah.
pretty good. I feel like he's been playing it safe.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
His
Yeah.
meeting with Trump was interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Trump one did make me laugh because
really did.
the entire campaign was elbows up. We're fighting.
Yeah.
This guy's taking us out. Our relationship is over.
Yeah, like his whole campaign was running on the
That's the
destruction of Trump.
campaign, and
Yeah.
that's how people voted.
Yeah. And then
Sadly,
yeah.
yeah.
And then when they get there, slapping knees and buddy,
Well,
buddy.
the chummy thing was a little, and then I mean it doesn't matter. They can always spin it the way they want.
Of course,
the
of
people are saying, yeah, well, he knows how to play it because he's negotiated before. Oh, so he's an actor, like he's pretending to be his pal. I don't. It seemed to me like they actually know each other.
It definitely felt that way.
It felt like they know each other.
Yeah, it really, really did. Yeah.
Well, there's a fellow YouTuber podcaster. I don't know where he is. Moose on the Loose. Do you guys
Yeah,
know that
Moose.
guy?
Yeah, he's out in
He's east, I think.
East Coast.
Do you know him?
Halifax. I don't. I only
love
know
his stuff.
of him through the Elevate guys, who I
Okay.
have been a guest on. Yeah.
Because he's been putting in a lot of effort to make like a giant, it's like a detective's list of connecting Carney and Trump and all of their international business potential. And it was, I haven't reviewed it thoroughly, but from what I saw, and he's been putting, I think it's been over a number of weeks he's been doing this.
Yeah, a lot of
He
people have
has.
been talking about it, actually.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of connections, and the obvious one is through Brookfield and the deal with Jared Kushner, kind of bailing him out, where it's like lifelong
I keep
lease,
seeing that
and they
one
paid
come
up
up.
front 1 point something billion, and But the thing on your point that I think bothered me, and I did a little bit of a rant on this yesterday on Merit TV, is that the idea of the end justifies the mean, and then means, and we put in political strategy kind of to justify when you have politicians who run on certain aspects and then don't do that in office. It's almost like do what you need to do to get into office and then do good while you're in office.
That's what you're saying.
And it's almost, we've lowered the standard, I think, as citizens because we've accepted it, that it's okay to be not the whole truth misleading, or dishonest or misleading or deceptive. And for me, the part that, like, if he has a relationship with Trump and it can actually bode well for Canadians, great. It still doesn't justify deception while running in office. And I can probably blame all politicians because that's the game they play. Is it's hard to appeal to your base and the outside voters you have to get into office. I understand that. But my point is we've lowered the bar on truth and transparency, and I think that's following down.
I think that was one of the reasons why, from my perspective, and I think why Trump got such a large victory in the States was that fact that he's not a politician, and he is his worst attribute is his speaking. But it's also a gift because you know exactly what you're going to get.
That's his base. Loves that.
Exactly.
They love that he is who he is. He's unapologetically.
Yeah. Whereas like a Hillary was like, you don't have a clue what's political, what's a strategy, you just don't know what's what. She's a master politician. And so the two contrasting were so different.
Not even close. It's insane. Yeah.
And so, I agree with you. I think we're so used to that, unfortunately, of what you're describing. Politicians who are just slippery and fake, that it's just seems like such a broken system.
Well, it's like we're craving something new, right? Every time, like, yay, he's a business guy. Or the last one, yay, he's a drama teacher.
That worked out great.
Yay.
That worked out really good.
But it's almost like and it's always dependent on what the social, what the issues are at the time. And conveniently, again, it was another wedge, right?
Yeah.
This time it's Trump.
It was.
The snap was what we know, the pandemic, right? So it's too bad.
Yeah,
another wedge.
I got that clip ready if you guys want to see
Which
it.
one?
The one where he's blast the ABC reporter.
Oh,
yeah, let's see it.
I thought you were going to do the Ozempic one.
No, we got to do that
my
one.
Fat buddy.
Please find
Paul, can you find me that clip where Donald Trump talks about his very wealthy friend, great businessman, and talks all of a sudden how ridiculously overweight he is? He just throws that in there.
He's my fat
just
pal.
find that's like a minute and a half.
That's the fat truck,
That's what I love, man. There's no filter.
Yes,
It's
text that to me, Paul.
0. Okay, here's the clip. This is him signing. So he's signing something, and then it comes up. Right there.
What would you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why
Because
not?
only ABC, well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed to ask him that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know? There was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto, when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it, they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, as a businessman, some people may look at this and say,
how is he in real life? It's incredible.
And did not receive
It's not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense.
Not presidential.
And you should know better, because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is...
My gosh, he is just relentless, eh?
That's what I mean. Is like, you know how nervous you'd be to ask a question knowing like he could decimate me here. You'd have to be really ready.
I love that he quoted Sam Snead. Like in golf, you pick up a putt.
And he's like, it's a free jet, guys.
Yeah,
you don't say no.
Totally.
I know.
Take the jet.
Yeah, this one is just because we're on the Trump train right now.
That's so funny.
This is
and like if you just watch Dr. Oz through that whole clip, he's just snickering like a kid, like because he's like, what is this girl?
Well, they
doing?
gotta love his antics, right? You're gonna get absolutely murdered by asking him a question. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I think you guys got it.
A businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight. and he takes the fat drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me. He used to call me Donald. Now he calls me President. That's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. Said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
Oh, so he actually has a point in talking about this. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, the whole context
The
of
pharmaceuticals.
Exactly.
Yes.
He is executive order driving down the prices of all the pharmaceuticals. But he just,
Man, I thought it was just a random curveball for no apparent reason, just dissing his guy. Like,
I said it's not working.
That's good, man.
He's a funny guy. I don't know. He's funny.
Yeah.
holy smokes.
Okay, well, yeah, on that front, that's a good
Yeah.
point, Tucker. He's brutally honest.
Yeah.
And at least you kind of get, you know what he's saying.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with him. I was a fan. I'm using the word was because of obviously now he meddled in our election.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
The tariffs, obviously, I know he's got an end game there.
Yeah.
Looks like we're ending at 10% across the board, but I did like him. I thought he would be good for American society and like cultures and correcting some ideologies and some cancel culture, things like that. I thought he'd be good for the economy. I thought it'd be good for immigration, for them.
Yeah.
And then I never could have foreseen he would have been so bad for us.
For us. I know that.
Right?
Nobody saw that. I don't think, unless Mark, there's a whole conspiracy going around that Mark is, have you heard know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That they, again, I have no idea about any basis for any of this, but I've seen it on a few podcasts about how they believe that Mark was kind of selected with Trump.
Yeah, I've heard that, and some friends of mine that let's say they live in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
They said this a long time ago.
Yeah.
That he has been selected, and I don't know what to say to that.
My one thing to conspiracy theories is there's a conspiracy theory for literally it doesn't matter what the outcome. Well, we knew, and it kind of gets spun every time where I'm like, oh my gosh, there can't be a conspiracy for everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, where there's smoke, there's fire, but sometimes.
It's a tough
or
one.
somebody's vaping or something. But
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there's so many connections when you get to that level of business, international business, and no doubt I do believe in the globalist agenda, and again, not in the conspiratorial side of things, but the globalist in the style of the EU style of governance, European Union, and you've got people across border, international finance, all that stuff going on. It comes a small world, and no doubt, I think when people get a taste of power, we've seen this throughout history, you try to preserve it and you try to bring people along with you in that sense. So I don't take those as fact, but I also don't just clearly dismiss them. I'm like, okay, is there evidence to back this? Is there any sort of resemblance of crumbs or clues that actually show this?
Right.
Or is it just completely out of right wing because we're bored?
yeah, exactly.
I think there's a lot to it. I believe there is a globalist agenda. I don't know how sinister, and I don't know what the ultimate end game is, but I do believe, the WEF is a real thing.
Yep.
They do talk about, bettering the world with their own ideologies. So,
well, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not too far fetched. It's like if you were a group of trillionaires that had you had in every single continent on the planet of every single industry, and every time some government passes some sort of regulation, it just decimates one part of your industry or et cetera, et cetera. I guarantee you these guys would sit down and be like, okay, enough of these silly politicians that come and go. Let's figure out a way to keep what we're doing forward. Like, it's not far-fetched to think that. These guys have their hand in every bucket. Why wouldn't they try to make it the best that they could for their industries? I don't think
that's true. And it feels like it's even gotten granular.
Yes.
Like we talk about it at our municipal levels. Jody Gondek, right? Day one. I've talked about it on my show. Day one, climate emergency. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You didn't run on that. You didn't campaign on it. You didn't sell it to people. And just like that.
Well, and especially communicated
from?
on a global scale. Like, have you seen those clips where they patch together the news? Have you seen that? Where it's like they'll patch together one newscast from South Florida, another one from Northern Canada, another one, and literally the sentences they're saying are like verbatim exactly the same sentences, and they're across the world, and you're like, wow, like someone's handing these people scripts that they're literally being loaded into the teleprompters.
That's an interesting point you brought up, Mayor Gondek here. Do you think that's a nature or nurture type in the sense of, is that something that she's got connections with, where she's tapped into the whole green energy, climate emergency, or is that something you think she truly believes? Now, there are some people who buy into it and who truly are like, we got to figure this out. And again, it's still up for debate, all of that. But
yeah, sure.
Anyways, it's just interesting to think, how do people arrive where they're at?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody, that's when the questions started coming up when she came out and did that. I mean, I had Sonia Sharp on, who's now running for mayor. Even she asked, looking back, what was the point of that? Like, was that to divide council?
Totally.
Did she truly believe in it?
Yeah.
Are we fighting like, who has someone gotten to her? Is it because of her tie with, Nenshi and Nenshi's connection to Trudeau? And it's pretty easy to go down the rabbit hole to try to figure out why, but it didn't make sense either way.
Yeah.
Well, on that front, let's move into Canada's energy sector.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, because that's kind of your bread and butter.
Love it.
Take us through, first off, how you got your start, kind of what you do in that, and I'll throw some stuff at you.
Sure. Yeah. I ended up, I guess I've been in the energy sector since 2004, 2005, around there. And I had sold drilling rigs or drilling rig contracts for the better part of, I don't know, call it 15 years. Mm-hmm. And that's where I've been toiling ever since. I did try to go on my own. I built a rig. This is where the whole GND came from.
Okay.
I started a company in around 16. I've talked about it on the show.
If you don't know what GND is, Great Northern discussions. They can get merch at your place or what? Your website or how
I have some left over. Yeah, I'll explain.
You got to find you and get it from you personally.
Yeah, like I do have. Yeah, a lot of industry peeps do ask for the gear for sure. I spun because I was a drilling company. And then after some complications with my health, I got out of the drilling, sold the rig, and then I went full apparel because people liked my logo, and it was about drilling. And without saying I love Canadian oil and gas, even though I do love Canadian oil and gas, right? He's a pal. So it kind of caught on, just the swag. And then when I was trying to sell the swag, I switched it to, I tried to tie it in with Great Northern discussions. I could keep the GND the same. Mm-hmm. I wear it. And now people ask for it still all the time. So there might be a way to reincorporate swag.
That's awesome.
I didn't mean that.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad to get that.
There you go.
Represent. Sorry. So, anyways, keep rolling. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, now I find myself behind the mic, and I really, my mission is obviously to put on a good show, talk compelling stories, do a lot of crossovers, but I want to help educate people on how our sector works, not just what it brings in terms of what we contribute to our GDP and how it benefits us all on a day-to-day basis. I also want to dive down deeper into, hey, this is what they do. This is how they do a frack.
Yeah.
But without it being a LinkedIn webinar. Hopefully have a compelling enough story, a gentleman or a woman with me that has a good enough story that we can dive into both. Get right down into, make it cool.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about our sector like it is cool because it does benefit us. And I was thinking about this the other day. East Coast, we look at we have all these different cultures in Canada. The East Coast, we have fishing, let's say, crab fishing, lobster fishing. It's tough line of work. We've all seen Deadliest Catch. I don't know how many of them actually participate in it. We know what it brings in for revenue. Yeah. But they're almost like heroes, right? Yeah. It's tough. It's honest work. They could die. They come home and they're putting literally food on the table. Now, take the energy sector. Yeah. The sector keeps the lights on, keeps the heat on, but yet they're looked at, the people, the men and women of the industry.
Yeah, demonized.
They're demonized, they're vilified. Yeah. So you're a hero over here putting luxury food on our table. Yeah. And these guys, men and women, So I'm trying to break down those barriers, hopefully, by saying, you know what, let's celebrate it. It's cool. It's cool to produce energy and keep the lights on and all the materials that goes into our everyday life. It's okay to celebrate it, and it's okay to chase renewables at the same time. Yeah. So that's really the goal of the show. I just want to make it entertaining enough to
I like that approach. I honestly really do. I think it's refreshing because you can kind of you can get it without, like you said, without the webinar approach where it's too deep. Nobody would do that.
No one's going to tune in,
no one's
right?
going to tune in and do that. But you put it in a very practical sense. Your oil and gas conversation with Cody was really, really, really good.
He was really awesome.
He's an encyclopedia.
He's a stats machine. He's a machine.
Just pulling out the stats. I was like, this guy doesn't stop. He's not looking at nothing.
Well, yeah, and I had to kind of like interject.
I know, because he just wouldn't stop.
Well, he's full of. I mean, he's smart guy. He's the I love Canadian oil and gas, right? Yes. Okay, and I mean, he's a real estate agent. Yeah. He's just passionate.
I know, he really is. You can tell.
Cody Battersill?
Yeah.
I've had coffee with him like 7 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Were you buying a house? Or?
It wasn't that. We were trying to connect on this. He's been on BCN actually several times.
He's a brilliant
but not recently. God, I got to reconnect with him.
You'll get, I'll shoot you his number.
Sure.
I was going to ask you, have you seen the clip, I don't have it ready, of Bernie Sanders answering why he takes private jets? Because they were talking about him campaigning. I couldn't believe he did it with a straight face, but he literally was like, I need it. It's to campaign. I wouldn't be able to campaign. It's not practical for me to get on a commercial jet. And we always will be. That's the way campaigning goes. We always will. And they're like, yeah, but you're talking about shutting everybody else down, not being able to do private jets, but you understand the necessity for the need. I need it enough. And he just dismisses it.
Enough. I need it.
He just literally shuts them up. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, these people can't walk the walk.
Yeah,
That's
rules
the problem,
for you and not for me.
Well,
yeah.
It's a better answer than kind of Copeland's answer.
What?
I won't go there. Let's move on from that.
Sorry, I don't know.
It's all good.
Okay.
Little inside joke.
Okay.
So, but you said something there about celebrating our oil and gas, but also while chasing renewables.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a misnomer that oil and gas is absolutely, it's one or the other. You're against, right? Where maybe talk us a little bit about that, because renewables just aren't there. Obviously, oil and gas is a wonderful thing, keeps us warm. Otherwise we die.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we need it, or you're dead. But we're all good. The energy sector is all good with renewables. I mean, all these people are petroleum engineers and chemical engineers and geologists, and that are chasing the renewables. But you know, if I'm Mark Carney or anybody, myself, you know, finds myself running the country, and you look at your country and look up things that are going to help make your country profitable, and you're looking at things, we got auto here, we got potash here. Oh, oil, that's pretty good. Yeah. Geez, that's makes a lot of money, doesn't it? Okay, well, what? Oh, we have the third largest reserve on Earth. Yeah. So, okay, day one, I would say, here's our bag. We're going to chase oil because it's forecasted to 104 million barrels a day past 2050. Yeah. And at the same time, we're also going to get better and create some green opportunities. But we make money while we look for alternatives. The messaging has been, exactly, we're shutting you down and we're going green. That does not work. Yeah. It would be real easy. This whole even separation thing would be gone in a blink if the messaging was just, we're unleashing everything, including renewables, together. Let's go. Let's get after it. Done. Conversation over.
Yeah. To me, you look at these companies who are in business, like any company, they want to make money.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right? And if there are other ways that we're going to continue to fuel the future of energy, and that was viable, you'd think they would be heavily going into it. Thoughts on that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, this is why you don't see, these are good ideas. Like wind turbines, it's a great concept. Massive, the size of Calgary Tower.
Yeah, they're huge.
A lot goes into it. They don't last. It's for a very small footprint. They only last 25 years. They're not 100% recyclable. Yeah. At the end, in fact, 90% of it goes to waste. Yeah,
complete graveyards. Actually.
Graveyards. Yeah. I actually did an entire episode with a woman named Heidi McKillop. I don't know if you guys know Heidi, but she did a documentary. She sent me the invite, and I went to see the screening at the cinema down in Kensington there. Yeah. Anyway, I knew nothing about it. I watched the doc, and it was so good. It was about...
What's the name of the documentary?
So it's called Generation Green.
Okay.
And she it was really about a company, TransAlta or AltaGas. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to slag them here, but they came in to Waterton National Park, and it was a proposal to put in a giant wind farm in Waterton National Park. Well, they didn't realize what they came up against was the people that live there are all ex-oil and gas, ex-engineer, retirees, people who go there to follow species of birds and animals. And I mean, think about it. It's a national park.
Yeah.
But they were going to ram it through. Like, they basically had a town hall with all these hamlets and said, this is happening. Because it's a green project, right? They weren't getting the same pushback, regulatory, right? Upfront scrutiny. And so
there's almost a nobility around it.
Yeah, like this is happening.
It's green. Let's make it happen.
That's right. Okay. So if you watch the doc, it really is phenomenal because they all banded together and they all had the knowledge and the information to teach them what it was going to do to the birds in the area and what it was going to do to. I mean, it's a national park. It makes no sense anyway. But they ended up canceling it. Now, they didn't say it in the film, but I was at the premiere downtown there, and they actually said during the question period that company actually learned from these people, and they were thankful because they didn't do their due diligence.
Wow.
Which doesn't happen in oil and gas, right? Because it was renewable.
They're forced.
They were pushing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where I went when I saw it, but I know there's all kinds of back there.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll watch it. It looks really intriguing.
Well, now several other things, and if you can talk a bit more about the oil and gas. So I guess a broad scope question. Does the world need more of Canada's oil and gas? Yeah,
no question. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot, and hate to say it, it's really since 2015. I mean, I get there could have been some things done prior, but in the last since 2015, so last 10 years. So we need to get specifically our LNG. And oil, of course, but LNG helps countries. It helps you lower your emissions by 50% by getting countries off of coal-fired plants. So if you can get your LNG to the rest of the world, the United States has built 10 LNG plants since 2015. We've built zero. We have built zero. And that's not because we're slow, it's Canada, we take longer. It's policy. When Danielle Smith says get rid of C-69, it's a direct correlation. That bill is a problem. I've read it. I don't recommend reading it. Boring as hell. It's not a great read, but I could probably list off 12, at least a dozen mega national projects that were canceled that specifically cited because of these regulations, we have to call it off. And we could have gotten, we still have some access to markets. I always listen to the other side because their argument is, well, we bought you a pipeline. We bought you Trans Mountain. Okay, well, we didn't need that bought for us.
By the government.
By the government. That's on the back of the taxpayer. This is why these people take that enormous risk.
Exactly.
To get it to market, right? And so anyway, sure, he bought the pipeline. Credit. It got out of hand, and it is what it is. It's given us access.
It costs a lot more too than
he drastically overpaid. The return, it is making...
He being Trudeau and his government.
Trudeau, Anyway, it does give us some access to markets. There's just a lot more. So we have all these, I could probably list them all off, but I mean, we don't have enough time. But
it's wild how much more efficient it is. I'm just looking it up right now, LNG. It's wild.
It cuts your emissions 50%.
Yeah, 50 to 60% emissions reduced. Air pollutants, 99% less sulfur dioxide, 90% less nitrogen oxide.
Can we dumb this down for a second?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I try to do on my show too. So
liquefied natural gas.
Yes.
Alberta, giant reserves in Alberta.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the most in Canada.
NBC
is the most in Canada. That's kind of like the hotspot for it.
Yep.
So how do we get that out of the ground?
It's no different than drilling for it.
Okay, same idea.
Producing it, and then piping it,
and where do we pipe it to?
Or training it.
So we have none right now.
Well, Great question. So we don't have zero. There's actually 3
Okay.
in the works right now, and there are other smaller ones that are online in Canada. But the world's or Canada's largest export LNG facility is coming online like right away. In fact, last month.
Okay.
That's called LNG Canada.
Yeah.
They are bringing in, there's a carrier coming in right now, or it's already there, and they're unloading to cool the equipment to commission that plant.
Okay.
So most of them are in that Kitimat region, Kitimat, BC, and they receive it via rail.
Okay.
A couple of railways, and the other one, like Trans Mountain, is a little lower, which is like Burnaby area. Okay, so that's pipelined out.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. There are 2 other ones, Cedar LNG, which is also coming on
At Kitimat too.
at Kitimat, which will be coming on in 2028, and that one is majority Indigenous owned.
Okay.
And there's another one, wood fiber LNG. Again, there you go, Squamish. That's, what did I say, 27. So that's actually earlier than the Cedar. But that's, so the LNG Canada and Cedar are both kind of like Indigenous. They've got Indigenous
Private or government
partnerships and
government's a part of it? Or
well,
no?
the LNG Canada is a group of 5, a consortium of 5. I want to say Shell, Mitsubishi, Korean Gas, Petronas, PetroChina.
Okay.
You were literally like reading off my ChatGPT.
Oh, did I?
It's amazing.
Oh, I like it. Okay, it's a
you're
good fact.
nailing it.
You're like a fact checker.
Shell,
easier.
Petronas, Petro,
Tuck his
Yeah.
mind and the
Korea. Like
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nailing it all.
Fact checker. Yes.
Yeah, on the spot.
Okay, and then who else? What was I saying? The other
Ownership.
one being ownership. So that's their ownership group there, right?
Okay.
Those are the 5
Yeah.
in that one, and then Cedar. Yeah, Cedar LNG, which is majority owned, Heisla, and that is, I want to say it's Pembina,
Okay.
right?
Which one was that? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Pembina, because they have to
Hazelland
make
Nation and Pembina Pipeline.
Haisla and Pembina. Okay, so all right, batting 1,000,
Yeah, you are.
and then
You're good.
You
man.
even got the opening dates corrected.
oh, I did.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
It's wild.
And yeah, the wood fiber one, and I think both of them have wood fiber has like a floating storage. Also, like it's cool stuff. Like they're getting into like barges, like floating facilities and things like that. But Cedar has like a full floating storage. Floating facility. Anyway, it's cool stuff. So there is stuff coming. We're not saying, nothing's coming.
Yeah.
There is some things being built, but LNG Canada, they licensed they proposed it in 2012. So we're coming to fruition.
13 years later.
That's too long.
That's insane.
It's impossible.
So we drill LNG, get it out of the ground, pipe it or train it to minimal amount of refineries. That's the right word.
That's
in
it.
Canada, and you're saying the U.S. has built a lot more, or is there?
Yes.
Than we have.
Yes.
And refineries obviously refine it into what?
Right. Well, they're either going to, depending what that product is, they're going to let's call it bitumen.
Yeah.
You're going to dilute it.
Okay.
Right. So that it's not so thick. I know they used to call it like tar sands and stuff, but in that case, it's to dilute it, and then you get greater volume.
Yep.
Right. And then you can put it on your carriers and send it.
see.
So right now, most of our exports, I think almost 90% of our exports go to the United States.
Yes. Yep.
Not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, it's okay.
Is it true it's at cheaper prices than what market
Yes.
rate would be around the world?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's cheaper. We sell it at a.
What's that due to? Is that because it's our only option?
We sell it at a discount. Really, that is the answer. Yeah. Yeah. We would get better rates if we.
If we could get it out to the. That's why Premier Danielle Smith was saying we want access to tidewater ports.
That's it.
Right? The Arctic, Pacific, Atlantic.
That's really it. Yeah.
Like also, no interprovincial trade. So we pipe our stuff through the U.S. and it gets piped back up into Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
While they're still also getting oil from Qatar and Saudi and all those by tanker, right?
Yeah.
Which probably isn't healthy for the environment when they break down.
Well, yeah,
which
it's
happens.
not. It's hypocritical, right?
Yeah.
We've got this moratorium on tankers on one coast, but not on the other. And it's not to say we don't want to care. It's just hypocritical to do that.
Yes.
You can't bring a tanker through here, but bring in super Saudi Arabian tankers on the east every day.
Totally.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What is
Every day.
this? Every day. Well, I
think it is. I think you're right on that. Yeah, but
probably
it's
right?
consistent.
It's big. It's a big number, and I don't. And the people on the East Coast,
Okay, so this
they don't know that.
this whole idea, sorry for
it's all good.
I got an idea I'm trying to get across. So green energy, net zero. Mark Carney believes in that. Just read his book, Values.
Yeah.
Bill C-69 is a big deal about maximizing Canadian energy, specifically Alberta, BC, what we have, because there's not just an argument. We've been landlocked for a while.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
been issues there,
Yep.
meaning we haven't been able to maximize what we put out. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has just commissioned building coal mines, which I think is one of the, compared to the others, not the cleanest if you're going from that angle of
Not the cleanest, no.
China.
Yeah, we still kind of need it. I mean,
You need it, of
It's
course.
efficient.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
the
not trying to,
cleanest.
but
yeah,
but in terms of coming from the perspective of net zero,
Yep.
green carbon, reducing emissions, China is all about coal plants. We know that.
they're everything. They're everything.
Canada has got one of the cleanest standards in the world, highest standards, I should say, when it comes to LNG, oil and gas. Is that true?
100%. Other countries come here to learn from our sector to better theirs, and so
Wow. Okay.
if government would just celebrate that, like if we are concerned about climate change,
Yeah.
okay, if emissions are the standard, we're 1.5% of all global emissions.
Yeah, exactly.
That we're not the problem. So brag about that. This is before all your BS carbon tax and all your attention and vilifying the sector.
Yeah.
We're already at the bottom. I went back, I got granular on that too. I went back and looked at our carbon output, like in Harper years. I looked at 2006 because I knew that was like one of the busiest drilling years on record. 600 plus drilling rigs running like full time. I looked at our metric tons of carbon output in 06. There were a couple of higher years in like 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 16 and 17 is what I meant. Like in Trudeau, I was trying to specifically look at Trudeau's years versus,
Yeah.
Harper's. And there were a couple higher years, and I don't know why. I can't answer that, but why? I just think there's a little too much focus on it. I think we need to be cognizant of the environment, which we already are as a sector. Let them do their jobs, celebrate them as heroes, get access to market, and chase all the green stuff you want.
Totally. See, here's the
Sure.
lack of critical thinking that is happening. When you get hysteria, when you get climate, I'll use the word climate hysteria going on.
It is.
Is that you made some really good points. Canada's energy, in theory, if we could get more money into the industry, obviously it benefits Canada, benefits the citizens, benefits, like there's all that reciprocating effect that happens.
Yeah.
But if you get more money into the sector, guess what that allows more of? More R&D to refine and make our processes even better, which guess what? Raises the level around the world. Plus it gets cleaner energy out, if you want to call it cleaner energy, to other countries.
Yeah.
But yet we are being so stupid from barring that from happening, thinking if we can just clean up our act, quote unquote, lead by example, everyone's going to follow. No, it doesn't make a difference
Does
on
not.
the world scale.
Doesn't. We're already the leaders.
It's not like the rest of the world's going to
Yeah.
go to crap and Canada's going to be saved when CO2 gets too high or whatever.
No.
You know what I mean? It's
Like if they want to lower their carbon footprints everywhere else in the world, they should just come here and sit on the sidelines and watch from the bleachers with
Exactly.
sponge fingers.
Thank you.
Go Canadian oil.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what is it behind the bureaucracy and Bill C-69 and all of these ideas that, again, Jeremy and I are big proponents of this. We as citizens, like our government, we put our government in power, but at the same time, citizens need to hold government accountable. Why are we okay with this? It just seems like such a disparity. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And this is where the idea of separation is coming from.
Yeah.
Well,
It is. That's where it's coming from. And there's a couple other factors,
Sure, but you
like
think that's like
confederation. That's the catalyst.
Well, and this is why the global agenda does come into the conversation, is because they're going, we know we don't make much of an impact. It's the math's not mathing. Like, it just doesn't add up. So where's the pressure coming from?
Yeah.
And that's why I think it enters the conversation from there.
But I think there's part of this too where people just buy into headlines. They buy into not going deep and actually critically thinking, does this make sense?
Yeah, it's trendy.
Is this good, or is it just like there's this demonization you talked about earlier of the oil and gas industry keeps all of our heat, keeps us alive, and that has built because maybe it's anti-earth, it's anti, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah,
MSM
I say that all the time. I
groups
say
have
anti-earth
built.
all the time.
Really?
Yeah. You do?
I do. I say we're not being pro oil does not make you anti-earth.
Sure,
Yeah,
exactly.
Just that's why I say that all the time, because these people who live it and breathe it every day.
Yeah.
I saw Marty Marty
up
up north on
Belanger.
here. You know, he was Belanger. He was talking about it perfectly. Like, actually, I had a guest on who is a drilling superintendent who also he lives in the mountains. He runs up mountains every day. He has a massive following. He's an enviro nut.
Yeah, he is.
And he drills for oil.
Yeah.
That's fine. This is the culture here.
Totally.
It's okay.
You
can pursue both.
Yeah.
You were also batting 1,000 about the oil tankers, 3 to 4 in Atlantic Canada a day. Just Atlantic Canada.
Gosh,
Wow.
man, you know what you're talking about.
So you
really are who you say
He's
you are.
not a liar.
That's
That's a
awesome.
lot. That's just Atlantic Canada. Crazy.
It's and full on, like Supermax, like the big daddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Man,
That's wild.
Day.
we gotta wrap soon.
Yeah, buddy.
We're gonna have you back because I want to
Love
dive
it.
way more into this subject
Let's do it.
because the funny thing we talk about the saving our planet. Well, more oil and gas, Canada in theory helps that, but at the same time, guess what? It solves a major problem our country's facing: an economic crisis.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all
100%.
care about that, and that's probably the number one thing we should be caring about in our country. So
Yeah.
And
agree with
driving
you.
the economy brings innovation, research and development, and possible solutions.
Yep.
Just like the clip was saying, is like we're going to run out before we find a new alternative, and we have to find a new.
And he's right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tucker, let
100%.
our audience know
Yeah.
where they can follow you, what they can, if they want to track you, what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go. So I'm Great Northern Discussions. I'm on. Follow me on YouTube. I don't. It's still we got a pretty small following, but it's coming along there now. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok.
Yep.
I don't have a heavy presence on X. I don't know. Do you guys roll there quite a bit?
We literally say in our title, we just are starting to pay attention to X.
Yeah.
We don't pay attention.
I'm not there. Some guys
Yeah.
are, but like there's a lot on Instagram, and
Cool.
really, if they want to watch or listen, I'm on Spotify and all the
Cool.
casts. So I've had some really cool guests. So yeah,
It's
follow along.
necessary, man. No, we love your stuff. We're a fan of your stuff too.
Thank you so much. I'm a fan of you guys. So
well,
that's why we're all here.
We got a little romance brewing, maybe. We'll have to figure that
Alberta.
out. Yeah. High five,
Alberta
boys.
boys.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're all done.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys.
Thanks for joining us. Show
Any
goes
last
on.
words? Show goes on.